I got my truck stuck in the creek. I was just driving down this fairly remote dirt road through some national forest and was really struck by something. All along the sides of the road and through the woods, there's only one green plant really. It's this stuff right here. This plant is called multiflora rose. I believe it's from Asia, so it's a non-native species here in the US. Here in Western North Carolina, you can find this stuff everywhere. It's highly invasive and it'll grow anywhere. Right here it's growing underneath a pretty heavy cover and it takes over, it spreads. I just drove about 3 miles of this road, this old gravel road through the woods, and there's hundreds of giant patches of it. This is just a word of warning to, honestly, like us as a society, to be so cautious how we mess with these ecosystems that have developed locally over thousands of years. It's kind of ironic because I'm actually making a trip to buy some hay, and hay is one of the easiest ways to bring invasive species and weeds into your homestead. So it's really good to buy clean hay. One of the reasons I'm driving so far to buy this hay is because I was told by people I trust that this is really good hay, very few weeds, and it's so important to not bring these invasive species in and put them in your land where you're going to be battling them for as long as you live there. I want to put the bale right there, but I have to get it across this creek somehow. I'm afraid I'll get stuck. I got my truck stuck in the creek. I put this round bale out in our back pasture because we're trying to keep our animals off of our good pasture, our main pasture, just so it can get us start growing and not get eaten down constantly. I love having the animals out here because this place was really grown up when we bought it. It wasn't too bad, but I think that we'll slowly be able to transform this place back here into better pasture if we regularly graze it. Just to clarify something, it's not likely that you would bring multiflora rose into your land with hay because the seeds from multiflora rose come from a mature plant, which is something it's unlikely would be in a hayfield. Here's a multiflora rose bush inside the pasture. Here's a little multiflora rose leaf formation. And the way to tell a multiflora rose from a native rose is this little shape at the bottom. I don't know what to call it. It's like a little flare. You won't find this little thing at the base of a native rose leaflet. As you can see, this bush has taken a beating from the goats. This is really an experiment for me, and I'm just curious to watch this over the next few years as we graze the goats back here. My question is, will this bush produce seeds to spread more multiflora rose around? I think the goats are going to keep it suppressed enough that it will not produce seeds, but we'll see. I'll let you know. Here's a healthy multiflora rose bush on the outside of the fence. There's the eaten bush, healthy bush, eaten bush. It's a pretty big difference what the goats do. There's a lot of different ways to get rid of multiflora rose. One of them is mechanically cutting it to the ground. If you want to kill a bush by doing this, you need to do it, get this is from an expert on multiflora rose, you need to do it 6 times a year for 2 to 4 years. What? 6 times a year for 2 to 4 years? Who's gonna do that? Well, I'll tell you who's gonna do that. Goats will do that. They may not eat it to the ground, but they will knock back all the foliage more than 6 times a year. They'll do it as often as you let them get to the bush. This bush I need to come up here and remove because the goats can't get to it, and every single mature plant can produce tens of thousands of seeds every year. The birds eat the seeds, they get spread around, and that's how it gets in your pasture. Back in the 80s, someone in West Virginia said multiflora rose was the biggest problem facing agriculture, and estimated that it would cost $40 million for farmers to adequately control multiflora rose. How did it get here? It was brought into the country 200 or more years ago and originally used as rootstock for domesticated roses. Also, it was marketed pretty heavily. It pushed from the 30s even up to the 60s as wildlife food, erosion prevention, and living fence plant. And then it started growing everywhere, and people realized this is out of control, and now it's listed in many states as a highly invasive species. In some states it's actually illegal to transfer it or plant it. Okay, we're almost done out here. I do need to cover this bale so it doesn't get wet in the rain. It's gonna be out here till it's gone. And I need to get my truck out. Truck is here, creek is here, and I need to be over there. I actually kind of think this is funny because I probably shouldn't have even tried to cross the creek. You can drive through here at the end of the summer, but this time of year, it's just too wet. All right, here it goes again. On this side of the creek, there's nothing to pull me out right now if I get stuck, so I'd have to wait on the minivan. That would be humiliating. Yes, I got out. That's kind of gratifying. I don't think I'll be driving back in here again until it's totally dry. Or maybe I need to think about putting in a culvert. Well, this has been another great day on the homestead. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a great ride. I'll have to go cover that bale tonight because I've got something I need to work on now. We'll see you in tomorrow's video.